Hello everyone, welcome to SD Chess World and I hope you are doing well. World Chess Champion Magnus Carlsen wins the Shamkir Chess Tournament title, which is also called as the Gashimo Memorial Chess Tournament, and he wins it with 6 out of 9 points, and of course without losing a single game. In round 7, there is a very interesting match between Magnus Carlsen and Grandmaster Veselin Topalov, who is leading the tournament at that point with the 4 points. And Magnus Carlsen has a 3.5 points. And in this game, Veselin Topalov have blundered the game, or he just want to go with that line where he loses the queen and he plays against Magnus Carlsen with a bishop and a rook. So before going to that game, I would like to request you to subscribe the channel and show your support. And now we are done that, let's go for the game. Here Magnus has a white pieces and Topalov has a black pieces. Magnus start with c4 and knight to f6 by Topalov, which is the English opening and Anglo-Indian defense by Topalov. Knight to c3 and e5. Now English opening converting into the 2 knight variation. Knight to f3 and knight to c6, now converting into the 4 knight variation, and here Magnus go for e3, which is called as a quiet line. And here black can go for this e4, harassing this knight, but if we go for e4, then knight to g5 attacking on this pawn by these 2 knight, and there is only one defender, so black have to go for d5, pawn takes on d5, knight takes on d5, knight takes on d5, and queen takes on d5, so attacking on this knight. Magnus also have option by pushing a3 or by pushing this to e4, but he go for e3, and after this Topalov go for bishop to b4 attacking on this knight, so Magnus go for queen to c2, and here Topalov take the knight with the bishop on c3, and Magnus has chance either to take this bishop with this 2 pawn or either by the queen. If he take it with the queen, then this pawn structure is not going to be ruined, but this knight get this space to move on this b4 square. So Magnus takes it with b takes on c3, now going towards the center and also covering this 2 square for this knight. Here d6 by Topalov, solidifying this pawn so that this knight can move, and here e4 by Magnus finally, and black castles here. g3 making room for this bishop for fear and shadow and going for castling. Here Topalov goes for knight to e8, and he want to push this pawn on the f5 and start attacking by the bishop and rook. To stop this, Magnus goes for knight to h4, and Topalov again goes with knight to e7, solidifying this square, and Magnus pushes d3 protecting this pawn, and f5 finally as per the plan. So pawn takes on f5, knight takes on f5, knight takes on f5, and bishop takes on f5. Now this bishop is attacking on this queen diagonal and pinning this pawn temporarily. Magnus goes for bishop to g2 and ready for castling, and also attacking this b7 pawn, so c6 by Topalov and h3. Now why h3? This idea is preventing knight to f6 and knight to g4, so that there should not be any threat. Also in future, if queen goes for d7 square, then after castling this king can go for this h2 square and protect the pawn, which is happened in the game. Here Topalov goes for knight to c7, and he just want to take that knight to this c5 square and attack on this d3 pawn, which is pinned by this bishop. So here white castles, knight to e6 and bishop to e3, activating bishop, and knight to c5 as per plan. As you can see, this nice move 3 times to go for here rook a to d1, and now protecting this pawn. Queen to d7, now going for this h3 pawn, and here as we discussed, queen to h2, bishop to g6, solidifying this bishop and activating this rook. Rook to d2. Magnus want to unpin this pawn. Either he can move this queen or he can go by doubling the rook on d file. rook a to e8. As you can see, black has this solid position, this queen and two rooks which are covering these three files. Also active bishop which is attacking on this d3 pawn, and active knight over here. Here Magnus goes for queen to d1, finally unpaying this pawn and still protecting it with the rook and the queen. Now b6 by Topalov, adding more support for this knight, and rook to e1. Now going for this active file which are going to be open if there will be a exchange. h6 and bishop takes on c5 and pawn takes on c5, and as you can see this d file is open now if this pawn is get exchanged. And also you can see this pawn is attacked by this bishop and this queen. Also here Magnus can put this rook on this d8 square and solidify his attack. Rook to e3, this is adding protection to this pawn. Rook to e6, and here Topalov want to go for this rook to d6 square, also putting this rook on d8 square and making the solid battery of rook and queen. King to g1, and as you can see there is no attack on this pawn now, so king can move to this ft. Rook to d6, finally going for this pawn. This pawn is under attack by these three pieces now, and here Magnus goes for h4. Now h4 so that this bishop can move and there is no threat of taking this pawn, and there should be a connected pawn on the board. Rook to d6, now there are four attackers on this pawn and there should not be good move to stop it. So Magnus take this unprotected e5 pawn to equalize the material, and bishop takes on this d3 pawn. As you can see now there is a really threatening move, that is rook to e8, and you will see here on this position Magnus goes for bishop to e4, and here your bishop is under attack, and you just have to move the bishop either to take the pawn or take the bishop, and if you go for if it takes the bishop, then rook takes the rook on d6, queen takes on d6, and this rook to e8 move which is a check. And now here you have to move the king or either to take this rook with the rook, and if you take the rook then you're losing a queen. Also in worst condition, if you move the king here, then rook takes the rook and queen takes the queen and rook takes the queen. There is a battle between rook and the bishop, and we all know that rook is very much powerful here. Also there is another variation which I seen online, that is king to f8, and now here queen can go for this f3 square, that is check, and after this king can go back to the g8 square, bishop takes on c6, queen takes on c6, queen takes on c6, and rook takes on c6. You can see that black has these three pieces now, but after this rook to d5 move, your bishop is under attack by these two rooks. Also if you move the bishop, then this rook will definitely fall. So rook takes on d5 and c takes on d5. There is a double attack on this rook and this bishop, so definitely he will going to move the rook, that is d6. So rook takes the bishop, and here white has a extra pawn, but he has a disadvantage, that is he has this broken pawn structure where black has disconnected pawns. So this is also possible, but I'm watching this game, and on this position I think that if this rook to e8 move is here, then I should go for this queen to c7, and now if you can see this bishop take the bishop, then rook can take this bishop, rook can take the rook, rook can take this rook, queen will take the rook, and here you can take this unprotected rook here. You can see that black has 6 pawn, also white has 6 pawn, and black has a little advantage here by this connected pawn. This game may be converted into a draw, or maybe someone win. In the actual game, Topalov don't go for this variation, he just go for bishop takes on c4. In this position he is allowing Magnus to go for rook takes on d6, queen takes on d6, and rook to e8 check. Here Topalov takes the rook with e8 and queen takes on d6. Here rook takes on e4, and as you can see there is extra pawn black have, but in next move, that is queen takes on c6, there is a 5 pawn on the board and white has the queen and black has this bishop and rook. So Topalov continued this game with this position against the Magnus. He goes, as you can see, this queen is attacking on this rook, so he go for rook to e1 check. Here Magnus goes for king to h2, and there is unprotected pawn on a2, so bishop takes on a2. Here Magnus can go for this a8 check and taking this pawn, but he goes for g4. And now why g4? If we consider this position, king don't have escape route, he have escape route by the light square, and as you can see black has this light square bishop, and Topalov is a really good player, so Magnus don't want to, maybe he don't want to risk for this, and he just go for g4 so that king has escape route with the dark square. And here king to h7, avoiding this back rank checks. f4 by Magnus, h3 now attacking on this g4 pawn, and f5 by Magnus. Here Topalov takes this g4 pawn and h5. Topalov goes for bishop to f7 to attacking this pawn. Here Magnus goes for queen to d7, attacking on this bishop, also attacking on this pawn. King goes to g8, supporting the bishop, and queen takes the pawn on a7. Bishop takes the pawn on h5, and queen takes the pawn on b6. Now this pawn is under attack, so c4 by Topalov, and queen to d8 check, and bishop to e8 with the support of this rook. Here Magnus goes for king to g3. After this, king to h7, and here Magnus goes for queen to c7. And now idea is that this f6 move, and this pawn is pinned, so there is a possibility of promotion. King to g8, now unpinning this pawn, and queen takes on c4 with check. Now white has these 2 pawns, also black has these 2 pawns, but this pawn on g4 is under attack by the king. To f7, now attacking on the queen. Here you can't take this pawn on g4 because this rook to g1 is going to be a disaster for white, so here Magnus goes for queen to d4, simply avoiding this check by guarding this g1 square. And also here Magnus has a opportunity to push his pawn for the promotion, so Topalov seen this and he's go for rook to e8, going for the support, also defensive move by Topalov. c4, and Magnus is pushing his pawn. Rook to f8 and c5. After this, bishop to e8, Magnus goes for queen to d5 check, and king to h7. And here Topalov is waiting for this c6 move so that bishop can capture this pawn, queen can capture this pawn, and rook can take this f5 pawn. But if this happens, that is c6, bishop takes the pawn, queen takes the pawn, and rook takes this pawn. But after this e4 move, it is disaster because you have to push this pawn, and if you go with the king, then it is going to be end very quickly. King will take the pawn and this rook will definitely fall. This is a kind of possibility here, but Magnus goes for queen to e6, and after this bishop goes for b5 and waiting for this c6 move. c6 finally by Magnus, and here bishop takes on c6. If Magnus takes the bishop, rook can take this pawn, and if Magnus avoid this move and take the pawn here, then black can go for this rook to f6, and this is some kind of trap or maybe a cage. As you can see, this rook is covering the 6th rank, so king can pass this overall rank, so queen can't do anything here. He just have to exchange here, and this match is going to be a draw, because if he trying for this h file, and then king will move to the 8th rank, and if he goes for 8th rank, then king will definitely move to H file, and this is some kind of cage. In the game, Magnus goes for queen to G6. Now check here, king to G8 and queen takes on C6. Topalov goes for rook to F6 and now attacking on the queen, and also there is attack on this pawn, and Magnus goes for queen to E8 check and king moves to H7. Here Topalov want to just draw the game by repeating move by the king or maybe rook. This king takes the pawn on G4, rook to H6 and king goes to F4, rook to F6. As you can see, Topalov is repeating move here. King to E5 and here Topalov goes for rook to H6 and final move queen to E6, and Topalov resigns the game here. Why he resigned? Because whatever you do here, white is simply going to win. If you exchange here, then pawn takes on E6 and this pawn is definitely going to be promoted. And if you don't take this, if you go for again this F6 square, then queen takes the rook, pawn takes the queen, and king takes this pawn. And if king goes for this G8 square, then after this king to E7, this pawn is going to be promoted, but white have to take care of stalemate here. Due to this, on queen to E6 move, Topalov resigns the game. Nice game played by Magnus Carlsen. And also Topalov tries the best on this position against the queen. After this game, in 8th round, Topalov loses his second match, and Magnus wins 8th round by beating Anish Giri, and he just need a half point to win this tournament. In the final round, he goes for a draw and against the Dinglerian, and he win the tournament. If you like this game, then go ahead, hit the like button and share this video with your friends. Also don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon. Also you can join me on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and you can watch my previous videos here. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you in the next one.